We could also play the long one just to be sure.
2233. Enter the show number 2147. Little 147258 and that one 2147. All right. Say your name and a little bit about what you want to talk about, and we will get you screened up and pull you in. Look forward to talking to you.
Right, hello. Here we are, live.
All right, greetings, everybody. This is Reverend John Polk, and welcome to another episode of Deep Disclosure. I am joined by the Divine Miss M, Megan Martinez, and Mr. M, Matthew Schluter, a.k.a. Mattheus Emotep. The Silver Gate is rapidly approaching us. Exciting times are upon us now. We also have an incredible guest lined up for you as well. Her name is Susie Byler, a didgeridoo sound healer. We're going to bring her in about 30 minutes. But Megan, let's start with you. Please get us up to speed on what's happening with Deep Disclosure.
Well, as you know, we're in a new format now. Nice to be back for those of you who've been listening for a while. We have moved to radio format to try and reach more people, and also because we've been having some issues with YouTube. Shadow banning us, which I think a lot of people have dealt with. So we just want to continue to spread the message and get out there with what we're doing.
Indeed, yeah, it's very exciting. And we have this new format. We're going to be coming to you once a week. And we'll be taking interviews and talking with callers. And so we're very pleased to be here with new information, new stories, new content. So
yeah, we also want to bring on new people. We want to showcase people that are doing stuff for the reset, for the rebuild process. Actionists who are going out there and doing something so that we can maybe be inspired to know how we can contribute. So we're really excited about that. It's going to be new voices, not the same ones that we've had for the last year or so.
Outstanding. And I'm excited as well. And thank you for having me be a part of it. I enjoy it very much. My sole purpose is just to introduce the show and MC a little bit. But really the show is all about Mr. and Miss M, Megan and Matthew, who become really good friends of mine, and the sky is the limit. We have the conference coming up, the 7th Seal Summit, the second annual, July 5th, 6th, and 7th. Please go to 7thSealSummit.com for tickets and more information, an exciting lineup of speakers as well. So the sky's the limit. Susie Byler, who's going to be our guest coming up in about 27 minutes. She's one of the speakers at the conference as well.
Yeah, and we'll be showcasing other speakers from this year's 7th Seal Summit. So we're really excited about this event, being the second one that we've done here in Sedona, and doing it a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder this year, bringing more content, new faces, new voices, new ideas to the stage. But it's more than just that. We're really excited about what's going on in Sedona right now. Right now, there's a spiritual revolution taking hold. And Sedona is kind of the epicenter of that revolution. So we have people showing up every day to this red city, being called by Spirit to be here for some reason or another, that are plugging into what we're doing. There are other people that are showing up, bringing a piece to add to the puzzle, who have just tremendous gifts that they're sharing with the world. So this is a really exciting time to be in Sedona with what's going on, and the 7th Seal Summit is just one of the highlights of what's going on in Sedona right now.
Hey, Matthew, could you explain to us exactly what the Silver Gate is and when we should expect it to be upon us?
Absolutely. That's just exactly what I wanted to talk about. So every May, which is the gate that's across from the Golden Gate being 1122. So directly across the wheel is 522. And in the Egyptian calendar in Dendera, there are these markers that also sit on the elliptic with the Milky Way, right? And so there's an alignment to the central sun when all this comes into alignment, and the energy's increased, and opportunities for manifestation are increased, and synchronicities are increased. So all this means is there's an opportunity for more growth, more acceleration of your consciousness. And so every time these months start, May and November, the energy begins to build. We've also talked about the veil thinning on the 22nd of every month, where we do our sort of our meditation, our galactivation, tune in with the seventh seal around the planet. And so we are doing a streaming event on 522 where we're going to have a lot more energy focused for manifesting the abundance. And this gate is definitely in a gate of abundance. So that's what we have to say about that. You should tune in. It's very powerful. And if you don't have a seventh seal activator, you should get one, because there are more and more stories coming in about what happens when you work with it, when you put it under your pillow. The transformation is profound.
I can actually speak to that. So when I moved here a couple months ago, I was actively looking for a job, and I was getting some leads. And I had this book called Manifest Your Dreams. And I, Matthew makes sure everybody in the house has their own at least couple seventh seal activators. So I put the book on top of the seventh seal activators. And the next thing you know, I'm a UFO sighting tour guide in Sedona. And I'm telling you, it happened within a day or two after putting that book and my intention on the seventh seal activator. Try placing it under your pillow, and welcome to Dreamland. You're going to travel very far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's intense. So we have a new seventh seal here at the house that's rather large that we just had arrive, and it's hanging up here in the studio. Matthew, have you had anything come off of this seal since it's been hanging up?
Well, I've been sleeping underneath it, and so my dreams have been more intense lately. I have one under my pillow. I have one, over the bed basically now. And so it's definitely been accelerating and ramping up a lot of things, even the synchronicity. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 more and more, which is sort of a launch code. And so I find that really synchronistic and exciting.
Yes, I like that. Like, let's blast off, let's get started. Speaking of blasting off and getting started, we have so much going on this month. So not only are we marching up to this epic Silver Gate, which Spirit has described to me as the gate of abundance, we have all these solar energies that are going on top of it. So the last couple of weeks have been pretty intense energy-wise, but it's been different. It's been more positive energy, feeling ecstatic, also feeling like you have all kinds of energy and want to do everything all at once, but then having no energy and not being able to get anything done. So it's kind of back and forth, but all pretty positive. And then yesterday it just started to build up again, and I was up until around 3:30 last night with this energy. And this kind of happens, we're leading up into a big full moon on the 18th of May, so we're starting to feel the energies of that, and it happens to be a full moon in Scorpio, which is a really intense full moon. A lot of crazy stuff can happen on these Scorpio full moons, and so this is 4 days before the Silver Gate, and of course we've had all this solar activity happening. We're in a major solar. There's there's major solar frequency going on, so we're getting hit by these waves. And so last night they talked to me and they said, all right, get ready because it's just going to get more intense. So I doubt that I'll be sleeping anytime soon. I might be up until at least this full moon breaks through and maybe until the Silver Gate. And it's just really important to be aware that these things are going on because you can feel a little crazy. And I've noticed people outside of what we're doing, outside of this kind of bubble of consciousness, so they're feeling it too, and they're acting just a little bit nuttier than normal. So we have to be aware of what everybody's feeling and be there to support them as they kind of spin out a little bit with these energies coming in.
And a good friend of ours, a friend of my show, Quantum Hologram Matrix, Catalina. Thank you so much for joining us in the chat. We're just getting this whole thing started with the chat room. You're prolific in my success. You always come up with incredibly intelligent questions and very astute comments. So thank you for joining us. And any comments or questions that you may have, you and me are the only ones in the chat. So feel free to jump on in. We appreciate it.
Well, and the other thing I want to talk about, tech difficulties. I've been up for 48 hours, learning all these different ways to make a show and ironing out all aspects of it. And so we're going to get smoother and smoother as we proceed doing these. So I just want everybody to understand and to, bear with us. And we think we have a handle on it, but, we're always paying attention to comments. If the volumes are not loud enough, we'll get right on that. And but we feel that we're off to a good start.
Yeah. Speaking of electronics and electricity issues, I've been having a lot of those lately, especially as the solar energy intensifies. And so I've been causing more power surges. I've blown out at least 5 or 6 lights in my bedroom in the last few weeks, and I went to go plug in a trimmer to the wall the other day because I was giving a haircut to a friend, and it was so weird. This strange sound came out of the wall. It was not from the trimmer. It was some weird static sound, and it just went, wah! And then all of a sudden, all the circuits blew. Like I could, really? All the, the outlets that have the circuit breakers in them, where they go, all of them in the room, they just popped. And so it's been really intense, and I know I'm not the only one having these electronic issues, but they seem to plague me. When the energies rise and when I'm going to get an upgrade spiritually, these electrical energies kind of go wonky. And so I've noticed, I was asking, we get a lot of problems with the electronics and the programs that we're working with. And every time Matthew has me come into the studio to either listen to something or record something, nothing works. Like, it all stops working. And I'm like, is this the typical process for this? Or is this just for me?
Well, what stinks is it makes the producer not look like they don't know what they're doing. But in effect, the producer does know what they're doing. It's us. And our energy just throws everything offline and out of whack and knocks it off kilter. And what I've learned in these situations, and this is the hardest thing to do, is to maintain your composure and not get frustrated. You get frustrated and it gets worse. Yeah. Just breathe a little bit and go, okay, haha, funny, guys. You can stop doing that now.
You can have your own set of electrical issues, don't you, John?
I do. I have a $2,300 pair of night vision goggles, and within 1 year they fried. And I send them back to Bearing Optics, and it was actually 1 month out of the warranty, and they were kind enough to fix it. And the lady, she sends it to the engineer, and the engineer was like, your electrical circuit board is completely fried. We've never seen this ever in the history of our company, ever. So, and they blame themselves. They're like, well, had to be something we did. And I never told them, I'm the one who shorted out the circuit board on my own night vision goggles.
I might have a little something to do with that.
So anyway, Bearing Optics, giving them a plug. A good product, and they were overly professional because they didn't have within warranty, out of warranty, so they did it anyway.
I have this like weird thing happening at night now because of this electrical issue, and I started having some weird sounds coming from my walls, and I couldn't figure out what the heck is going on. First I thought it was a bird, then it started sounding really mechanical. So I'm of course up all night and I'm hearing this, and I start researching, like Googling, like what could this possibly be? Like strange noise coming from inside my wall, strange mechanical noise coming from inside my wall. So finally I find a thread of people talking about it, and it has some sort of like water pump, or like an electrical water pump. So it's right near my shower where this thing is happening, and they said that sometimes if there are power surges or electrical malfunctions, that can cause this sound to come on. It causes the pump to malfunction. So because it's right next to my bed where I sleep, and seems to be the epicenter of where these power surges are happening, it's now causing an issue with this little motor inside the wall.
That's crazy. And Catalina, thank you so much. She's letting us know when it sounds good and when there's something off. And right now we're getting an echo.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to address it. So I'm not sure why.
Why don't we bring Susie in now?
Okay, let's do a brief bio on Susie real quick. So Susie Byler is the founder and lead facilitator of the Creation Temple, an online venue to support lightworkers on their ascension journey. Susie also channels Prime Creator and her modality called Didgeridoo Deep Sound Healing. Susie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I just wanted to hop in because you guys are talking about these technical things, and one of the things that I've learned to do is to ask my technology to harmonize with my frequency. Because I would notice that every time I would take a quantum leap, or every time my frequency would, go up significantly, that my computer would do stuff, or my phone, or whatever. And so I just started saying, you know what? It's all energy. Why don't I harmonize it? So now I talk to my technology, my computer, my phone, my car. I have conversations, and I'm like, all right, you need to harmonize with my frequencies here, so we can all, get stuff done.
I think that's the best advice for that situation I've ever heard in my life.
It works every time.
Yeah, good idea. And I'm going to start talking to my computer to do that, because I do a lot of graphic design work and web design stuff, and I'm just constantly at odds with this machine, and it's so frustrating. And it does something to me energetically. Like, I'm so annoyed sitting in front of this thing. Like, I don't have the same patience that I would have if it were not a mechanical or electrical device. It gives me some sort of weird feeling.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And I really want to make my technology my allies, because we rely on it, right? So it's important that we find ways to work with it instead of feeling frustrated all the time. Because I totally get it.
I just start like troubleshooting by slamming my fist into the keyboard. It seems to work for me. If I just press the button enough times, maybe it'll be fixed. I'm like, come on!
Yeah, there's definitely an echo, and I can't seem to track it down. That's unfortunate. So, 4G9, thanks so much for being here.
For having me, Matthew.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. And so, how are you, Global Transformer? What are you doing to change the face of the planet?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is really my inner work. The thing that, for me, makes a large difference, even if it's not seen outwardly, is how I am committed to my path and transforming myself inwardly. So I'm never content with whatever level of transformation that I reach. There's always more for me. And so I'm constantly rebirthing myself. I'm constantly looking at stuff that comes up for me. If I get emotionally triggered about something, I'm always looking at these things so that I can grow, so that I can expand, so that I can ultimately be a channel for the divine energy to flow through me. And then hopefully that has outward ramifications as well. because if I'm a channel and if I'm grounding that divine energy, then there's more of it here on the planet. So that's the first thing.
I had the privilege of being the opening MC at Suzanne Ross's Beyond the Matrix conference right here in Sedona. Activation in the Red Rocks, and asked me if I would cover until she got back, and I did. And the first guest that day was Susie Byler. So I was talking with her, trying to figure out exactly how she wanted me to introduce her, and we did so. And I sat in on her presentation, and when she played the didgeridoo, I got an activation and a heat. I tuned in, and I could feel the vibration frequency in the didgeridoo, the music that you were playing, but also your vibration frequency amplified through the vibration frequency of what you were playing. Cleared my spirit, and I felt the healing from it. And I know that you actually offer CDs or something where people can purchase it. So can you tell us about your website and how people can find out more about you, please?
Absolutely, yeah. My website is susiebyler.com, SUSIEBEILER, and that's where you can find both of my CDs under the products tab. And my other website is creationtemple.com, and that's where I support light workers on their ascension journey. But thank you for saying that, John, because my intention with didgeridoo sound healing is to bring activations, to help people balance their nervous system, their body. You know, as we all know, we're going through such intense times, and so part of my mission here is to help people get through that with as much ease and grace as possible. And so if we can find balance in our emotional field, if we can find balance in our physical bodies, in our spirit, that goes a long way towards navigating this journey with more ease.
And everything is a balance. Balance in life.
Well, it's funny because
I really believe that too. It's really important from my perspective that we are addressing the things that hold us back, weigh us down, that cause us, that cellular trauma that we carry around from other lifetimes, other dimensions, parallel universes, however you want to say it. We need to address that stuff and clear it and heal it, because if we don't, it's going to come up and it's going to come out. And if we want to be channels, if we want to be vessels for the divine, that stuff has no place. It has no place in our being. And so doing that inner work and addressing the stuff that comes up is really important. And, it's not easy. I always say this, and sometimes I get flack for saying this, but that's the truth. It's not necessarily easy work, but it's the most important work, because that's how we prepare ourselves to be global ambassadors. That's how we prepare ourselves to be vessels and channels for the light to flow. And that's why we're here, right? We're not here just to have an experience like some people say. That's my belief, is we're here to bring the light. So how are we going to do that? We have to integrate the shadow.
And I think that you brought up another very valid point, is that to be able to heal ourselves here in this third dimension, we should also be cognizant of our parallel dimensions that we coexist within our own pantheon of selves. So quantum hologram matrix, the name of my show, implies that we live in a multidimensional existence. So, here in the third, I'm a human being in a meat suit. In the fifth, let's say I'm a Pleiadian. In the seventh, let's say I'm an Arcturian. In the 12th, let's say I'm actually an Archangel. So we have a physical self in each dimension. But guess what? We have an etheric self, spiritual self, soul self in each dimension also. So whatever we do in this dimension, there's an equal and opposite reaction in all the other dimensions simultaneously. So be cognizant of healing not just your physical three-dimensional self, but we can heal ourselves through healing our higher selves, and ask our Godhead or our God self or oversoul to assist us in doing so.
It's interesting that you should say that, and then again about the balance. Is that when you think about came from the mystery schools back in the day, that knowledge was only bestowed on initiates that had passed the initiations. It wasn't just given to anybody who wanted it, because you need to be in balance in order to receive such a power. If power without balance is dangerous. And so you have to be in balance in order to receive. And another layer of this that's really interesting is that I keep getting hits in sessions that I'm doing with clients about preparing yourself to receive your higher self, to receive the braiding of your higher self. So you have to actually be prepared to hold this higher frequency within your 3D form if it's going to stick. And so what's happening as we advance in our consciousness and we vibrate at a higher frequency, we are being reconnected with those aspects of ourselves. And so we have to be able to hold them, and we can't do that if we're vibrating too low. And
it's true also with the lower vibrating aspects. I call it integrating our soul aspects, right? Because we're integrating all these parts of ourselves, and just as we have to be balanced to integrate and receive those higher frequencies, in order to integrate the lower vibrating frequencies, we also have to be balanced, because when the stuff comes up, and it's intense, it's not easy to look at the darker, the shadow stuff. So we also need balance for that. I want to speak to something that you started off the show with, and that's what's happening this month. In a recent channeling with Prime Creator, one of the things that came through was this month is a culmination of culminations. It's not the event, as a lot of people are talking about, but it is a culmination of all the waves of love and light that have come to the planet so far. And it's going to take us to a new plateau. We get a new set point for the earth, for our bodies, for humanity. And if we haven't been doing our inner work, if we're not balanced to receive that, people might get sick, people might pass on. Like, it's that significant right now.
They did express that to me, and I'm glad that you brought that up too, because I don't like to be a doom and gloomer, and I think that we should receive this in the way that it's meant to be received, and that this is a positive thing that's happening for us. But they've been urging everyone to please get your emotional bodies in order, because this is not going to be necessarily easy for everybody. And one of the things that they highlighted is that some people may have heart attacks or strokes because of the energy, and the reason behind that, they even said if somebody's reaching out to you because they're suicidal or pay attention, don't ignore them, make sure you make time for them, because the energies are bringing them to this place. They don't know how to handle it. They're having existential crisis, and they need assistance. They need your help, and that's why you're awake, so that you can help them. And so they said to me that part of this occurrence, part of this energy coming in, is causing us to kind of go through a midlife life review, where you're being forced to see yourself for who you truly are. And this is the difficult part. So we talked about these other things, like all of this stuff is in theory is very easy. In application, it's very difficult. So changing the way that you are, changing the way that you experience the world is not necessarily an easy thing to do. And so we operate from a place where we're living behind veils of illusion. And what happens when you go to the other side is those veils are gone, and you're forced to face yourself, and you do a review, and you get to see yourself for who you really were. You no longer have the luxury of burying your head in the sand. You really have to take a full look at yourself. And so the more you can clear before you cross over while you're here, the better shape you're going to be in. Well, this energy that's coming in, it's causing people to feel this stuff right here, right now. And it's like it's 2:00. The lights just came on in the bar. and
It's intense.
and you get to see what you've just been up to for the last few hours. So this could actually cause people to have adverse physical reactions. And so the more prepared we are, the better we are, the more positive we can be, the more garbage we can drop, the easier it's going to be.
I think even too for light workers who have been on the path for a while, there could be suddenly something that comes up for us to see about ourselves that we haven't seen before. And it might be something fabulous and amazing, something really expansive. And yet still, as you were saying, we have to be balanced enough to receive that part of ourselves. So it's on.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. I think it's exciting. I was like one of those weird people that got really excited around like catastrophic events, or like, and not because I want people to hurt or suffer, because I never want anybody to hurt or suffer, but I always saw them as catalysts for change. Like, this is an opportunity. This is a moment where the world stops turning. We stop having these blinders on, and we start to recognize our humanity. We start to recognize the people around us that need help, and we have an opportunity to change the way that we're doing things, because something has just come along and, taken the rug out from under us, and now we have to rebuild who we are as people, or how we're spending our days here. And so those things kind of always excited me, because it was like, okay, now is an opportunity for you to change.
Yeah, and the idea of everything that we're doing here, this radio show, all the, the sharing of our knowledge and expertise, part of this is to pave the way and to help so that we don't have to have the catastrophic events to, give us some perspective. Like we have a perspective of what's happening. There's a bigger picture that Megan has access to, that I have access to. Listen to us, listen to your own inner voice about this, so that you can get that perspective as well. Because we don't want the catastrophic events to happen. That's not what we want. But if we don't listen, then that's what's going to happen, because we need to have the perspective right now.
Absolutely. And it's crazy. I don't know. I'm just excited to be here. Honestly, like, I know it feels like the world is just kind of like pregnant with energy, and there's something about to pop, and it's kind of exciting. And also I have this sense of like, and maybe, I don't know, just because of the time of the year that it is, but it's kind of like the end of the school year, and you realize like nothing really matters. You can just kind of mail it in, and and you just want to get outside, or you got that kind of spring fever going on. And that's what it feels like to be a human right now. And so I have these things that I know I probably should get done, or I probably should put some effort into, but I just have this other feeling in the back of my head that, like, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. This is all made up.
Well, and I'm looking forward to summer vacation. Absolutely. Go to bed late, sleep in late.
Yeah.
No schedule. I'm looking forward to that.
Kind of live on a permanent vacation. Yeah. Freedom.
Freedom is on the horizon. Well, freedom is here if you claim it now, but that's a whole other thing.
Oh, yeah. That is a whole other thing. But I like that. I like that other thing, too.
Here is a question from the chat. It seems that we are in a major economic meltdown, so how do we deal with that?
Well, that again is perception. So we aren't in a major economic meltdown. That's something that's being fed across these lines constantly, that is as something to fear, because people want you to believe that it's all over, and that there's only a nihilistic view of the future. But in fact, right now, the economy is doing very well. It's doing better than it's done in many, many years. We have our lowest unemployment numbers. We have more jobs being created every day. We have money flowing. We have people rising up out of certain economic classes and moving up. There's upward mobility happening here. So we have our cryptocurrency market is soaring. It's going up by the minute, and we also have precious metals that are doing very well, that Spirit indicated would do well this year. I was just talking about this to another psychic astrologer that I work with and do shows with, and this Spirit predicted to me that mid-year there would be a boom in the real estate market, and And the planetary alignments also reflect that, because we're moving into Cancer, and Cancer is all about real estate. And so we have a lot of really positive things going on. So it really is more of a matter of perspective. We're not in an economic meltdown, and we're also not enslaved. We are not victims. We can make as much money as we choose to make. There's no one sitting there telling you can only live off a certain amount of money, or you can only make a certain amount of money. We're not really headed for an economic collapse.
I think it's really important what you're saying, Megan, because this whole thing about perception is huge. And so I would invite all of our listeners today to really take that to heart and say, okay, what am I going to focus on? Because you are a creator. You create your life, you create your reality. And if you are tuning into the chaotic reality that the media is feeding you, you're going to take yourself down. But if you're tuning into your soul and the reality of what your heart desires, and you focus on what you want in your life and what you want to create, then you have power beyond belief. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to create. We're not here to watch the news, you guys. We're not here to watch the news. You're here to spend your time, your energy, your focus on what you are creating in your life. And so that is the most important thing that you can do right now. Stop watching the news.
Oh, absolutely. I'm 35 years old, and I can't remember a time in my life where people let politics be such a major issue for them. I mean, that is not real life. That is something a handful of people are doing that are exploiting, taking advantage, pulling your heartstrings over in order to keep themselves in power, whichever side they may be on. That is not your real life. Facebook is not your real life. Like, I had to get off of there. I actually left Facebook a year ago, and I haven't, like, taken the plunge and just completely deactivated it, because it was a way for me to see, like, pictures of my family and my cute little nieces and nephews, and keep in touch with friends, because I travel a lot and I'm always, somewhere new. But I'm just sick of, I couldn't take all of the nonsense on there anymore, and so many of the people that I know and love just spinning out because they couldn't get off this newsreel, this constant feeding of propaganda. And so I was just like, forget it. I can't be on here anymore.
I get all my news from social media. So I'm a very credible source.
Actually, I get a lot of my news from social media as well, but I have a well-curated list of friends on Facebook, and so a lot of the news I get is actually, like, the legit news.
I just started, like, accepting friend requests from anybody that asked. I'm like, I'm just going to keep them guessing. Maybe they'll think this is a fake account because I got all these fake friends.
Well, if I didn't have a radio show, and if I wasn't selling books and wasn't doing conferences, I wouldn't do social media, period.
Right.
I mean, I find myself a slave to it, and it is a necessary, I don't want to use the term evil, but it is necessary in my life. Without it, my show would be less than half as popular as it is now. So, I'm a willing slave to it, and not by choice.
Well, yeah, I think we could do less of the social media. I do have to keep up on some news events I'm searching for validation for information that's come through from the other side. So I'll peruse the headlines to see if there's anything showing up that I should take note of, or when a prophecy has come to light. So I'm looking for those. And also, this is what I do a lot. I want to see where people's consciousness is. So I go into I skip the article. I go right into the comment section, and I start reading people's comments. And when I feel defeated enough, I just close that app right down. Because I'm like, oh my God, why? And it makes you kind of question, like, what am I even doing? Why am I even trying to help all these people? Like, is there a point to this? So I just, it's good to just shut it down.
What's interesting is that Mark Zuckerberg is not Mark Zuckerberg. His name is Jacob Greenberg. And a lot of people don't know that. Jacob Greenberg. Rockefeller.
Yes, he is a Rockefeller. And there are some other
Jacob.
Yeah. I've seen this. I've heard this about him. Mm-hmm. Did you see that interview where he said, "Well, back when I was human," and then he's like, "Oh wait, no, I'm human. But he says like, "Oh yeah, well, back when I was human." And
he's a Draco-reptilian human hybrid, just like his whole family tree is. So, all right, I said it.
It's kind of funny. I was looking at
deep disclosure.
We're doing.
How far down the rabbit hole will we go?
We're doing some crazy stuff around here, right? So we're involved in some pretty heavy stuff that we're working on a regular basis, and honestly, it is stranger than fiction. This stuff that we do. And I was sitting in the house, and I was kind of like my brain was flashing on a movie telling a story about what we're doing, about the crazy times that we're in, and then it made me think of the Facebook movie, and I'm wondering, they probably make up these stories just to give it some emotional appeal, so that we accept these people, like their struggle.
So we keep logging in.
Yeah, I'm so close to doing it. It's. I'll let you know when I finally have the nerves to deactivate.
Matthew Asimatep, when I first moved in here a couple months ago, he's like, you gotta listen to my volumes of the Saint Germain codes, and it's very deep and intricate and cryptic and subliminal, and it actually communicates with my DNA. And I know you've done a number of volumes, Matthew, and are you currently working on a new volume? And if so, could you briefly tell us what it's all about? Because it could take years to explain it.
Well, I am. I'm working on... there's a final code, a final sequence, a final message, and so that I cracked, and I've been laying foundation and building up to that, which is really, really profound. It's evidence that encoded in the English language is a message about that essentially, we came from the stars, we returned to the stars. A lot of these things that the Egyptians were echoing or mentioning were being echoed by these individuals in the Middle Ages, that were following these remnant mystery schools, and the message that was encoded in the English language was done by Sir Francis Bacon and his pen pal teams, and in essence, the message is all about the Merkaba, that everything comes from this single point of consciousness, and understanding the shapes and the way that the numbers correlate to the points, and that's why the seventh seal activator works. When you put the numbers in the right location, it activates these sequences. And so the central message, one of them anyway, is we have the ability to raise our consciousness and to ascend. And that's astonishing that was encoded in, and I demonstrate all the ways that it's encoded in the English language. These breadcrumbs are left, this information that builds up to this great crescendo that we are all God. And in essence, that's what I'm going to prove, that's the ultimate message, the ultimate thing that they're sharing.
What a profound message. In the Western world, we're taught that there's God and then there's us. In the Eastern world, not all parts of it, but it's the exact opposite. But light workers like ourselves have adopted that philosophy many, many years ago, that God is within us and we're within God. And we have the power that God has, but we're not taught that we have it, but we do. Wouldn't you agree there, Susie?
Absolutely. I grew up Mennonite, which is part of the Christian religion.
Oh, man.
So, I was taught God is outside of yourself. God is some masculine being sitting up on a throne somewhere in the clouds.
So God's a man?
God's a masculine entity, at least.
Okay.
Definitely not, mother, father God. It's Father God. So when I had my awakening, and I remembered that I'm God, everything changed.
When was that?
That was back in 2004, December 13th, 2004.
Can you bring us through that? What happened?
Sure. Yeah.
Please do.
I had been going to acupuncture to try to heal my body. I was suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome, adrenal burnout, and I had tried all these holistic modalities trying to figure out, how I could get some relief, how I could get better. And it was session number 6, and I'm lying down on the acupuncture table, and my acupuncturist was standing beside me. And all of a sudden I had a flashback to the previous weekend where a woman that I had met at a clinic that specialized in CFS, she had seen me that weekend, and she looked in my eyes and said, "Susie, you don't have CFS anymore." And I just kind of heard what she said, but it didn't really compute, because that was my diagnosis. That's what I had. So I'm lying there on the acupuncture table, and I see her face in my mind, and she's telling me, "You don't have CFS anymore." And all of a sudden, I know that she's right. All of a sudden, every cell in my body turned on. Like those light bulb moments people talk about, it was literally like that. Like the light turned on in my body. And I knew I didn't have CFS. I knew that I was healed. And that was the spark moment. And then, of course, came all the work and all the deprogramming and changing my DNA and, the works. But that was the initial moment.
So would you say that it was all mental, or that maybe you self-programmed yourself, or do you think it was real and that she activated you and you were able to defeat it?
It wasn't all mental. It was a physical experience, a spiritual experience. It was emotional. It was mental. Okay. It was all of it. So it was the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And now how do you feel now?
Amazing. I have access to unlimited energy. I do sleep at night. I'm still human, but I have access to unlimited energy. I don't have those limitations that I had back then. I mean, I was sick. My life, I didn't really have much of a life. It was just sort of anything I could do to stay afloat. And my life is the opposite of that now. I'm thriving. I'm healthy. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I mean, that was my early 20s when that started. So that was like 20 years ago, and I'm healthier now than I was 20 years ago. I mean, who says that,
I am too, actually.
Well, there you go. John says it too.
Well, my hair was starting to gray over my ears. I'll be 50 July 30th of this year. And, late 40s, it's not uncommon for men to even have hair, right. Much less have no gray. And I was starting to get gray over my ears. It looked distinguished, but I still didn't want to have it. And so I'm a Reiki master instructor, and I'm very vain. I maybe stick my nose in the mirror and camera too much, but whatever, And so I introduced quantum theta healing into my Reiki mastery. And basically, you communicate with the consciousness of your own DNA through quantum theta healing. And in effect, you can reverse the aging process. And that's what I did. And I'm telling you, my gray hair, who has gray hair go away? I've never even heard of that before.
Only people that dye their hair.
No, and I get accused of dyeing my hair all the time. I don't dye my hair.
Yeah. But it's true. Our bodies can do anything. It's our minds that say, "Oh no, my body can't do that," or "I'm too old," or "It's too late for that." Our bodies can do anything.
It's so true. The things that we're all discussing now, you really have to pay attention to what you think, because I've witnessed it myself too. Like, I had a little tennis elbow, right? And it went away, and I thought, "Oh, did that actually go away? Oh yeah, I'm not feeling that." And the next day I felt it came back. It was like, okay, this is a great lesson. Literally, the things we focus on are the things that we're manifesting. And so, I've been focusing on reversing my age as well and staying younger. And of course, part of the vibrancy comes from, staying childlike and not stressing out. And there's many things that we can do to be healthier, but it starts with how we think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I love that, John, I love that you're as open as I am about my vanity.
Hey, I own it, and I own my divine feminine also, and ladies dig it. I mean, they do. Most men deny they even have it. I embrace it. Makes me more powerful.
I've also noticed in this community, since I've been here in Sedona for the last couple of years, and just in the spiritual community in general that I traveled in for the last 5 or 6 years, is that people look younger.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell
true.
people's age.
My friends and I talk about that all the time. Like, we're on this de-aging timeline, and I know people who are older than me, 43, 45, and they look like they're in their 20s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it. I think it's all in your mindset, I think.
Also, attitude. So, in Florida, which is where I've lived most of my life, people look older than they really do. A lot of it's from too much sunshine, but it's also attitude and mentality. Going to the doctor every time your nose runs and things like that. There's so much that we are capable of that we're not taught that we're capable of.
Right.
But, there's just a certain consciousness, a collective consciousness in Sedona, and all of us individuals are a part of that collective consciousness. And we believe things here in Sedona that most people don't believe, period. Let's start with UFOs and extraterrestrials. I mean, that's what I do for a living now. I mean, find me another place in America. There's very few where you can make a living off of UFOs.
I don't want to live in a world without magic.
I know.
I don't want to live in a place where you don't believe in magic.
and I think that magic too comes from what Matthew was starting to say about the inner child. Being a kid is magical. So let's resurrect our inner children so that we can remember who we are as magical beings.
I get accused of being too youthful.
Whatever.
I know.
You
Somebody
do.
who really
She
doesn't
does.
like me called me an effing child recently.
They're just jealous.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep doing me. I also get. It's so funny because I get emails from people, and I don't know if everybody gets the same kind of feedback that I get. I don't know if you gentlemen on the air get the same kind of feedback that I get. But I get this email from somebody like telling me, it's time for you to grow up. You got to ditch the child's voice. And I'm like, well, I wish I had a choice in this matter. It's just the voice that comes out of me. And I'm like, growing up doesn't look that fun to me either. So I think I'm just going to keep doing me.
Yeah, keep playing.
Well, here's some comments in the chat. Is that chronic fatigue syndrome can be brought on by ingesting heavy metals, and we can often do it every day, and we don't even realize it. And then she continues by saying that you can take supplements that will take the heavy metals out of you. What are some of those supplements?
Well, zeolite's a great one for detoxing with heavy metals. I'd like to just advise everybody to stay away from EDTA, which is a chelator that's being pushed right now. It has a lot of negative side effects. In fact, this thing can't be removed from water at the wastewater treatment plants because of how it bonds to water. It's used often in soaps and as a bonding agent, and also as a preservative in like Coca-Cola and 7-Up. But this stuff is linked to a lot of just a ton of health issues. So stay away from that one. However, you can flush your body with niacin. Chlorella, and also cilantro is a really great flush for heavy metals. And what's really great about this one is it's actually very cheap. So if you go to the store and get yourself a bunch of organic cilantro,
Has to be
organic cilantro, and then just take like a 6-cup pot and boil that in there. Let it simmer for 10 to 15 minutes. Strain out the leaves, and then drink that water. And every night before you go to bed, like 6 to 8 ounces of it until you run out, and that will flush both your kidneys, your liver, and your lower intestines, and it'll help to take out heavy metals.
Here's a comment from the chat. This young lady takes zeolite in the powder form.
Yes. Yeah.
I haven't even heard of it.
Zeolite in the powder form is a really good thing for getting rid of heavy metals in the body.
And she also takes brown algae. Or ingest brown algae. I don't guess you take algae.
Yeah.
You take pills.
Yeah. Well, it kind of comes in a pill form. I like to take my spirulina in pill form because it stains everything and it's not that tasty. So you can get some of these supplements in pill form, and it makes them a little easier to swallow.
And I like cilantro and salsa. And even in salads. A lot of people don't like it. I like
juice it.
I think it tastes good.
You either have
amazing.
the enzyme to digest it or not. If you don't have the enzyme to digest it, you don't
that-
like how it
is that
tastes.
why?
Yeah, it's an enzyme.
Well, I
thing.
guess I have the enzyme.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Lucky
pretty much
me.
eat anything, so
I love it too.
I have enzymes a lot of people don't
It's
have,
really-
I guess.
Yeah, it's really good. And also, I mean, speaking of health stuff, I am a medical intuitive. And so a lot of the sessions that I do are looking into people's health. And a lot of people are really sick and don't know it. And so there are things that we kind of just accept about being here because we think, oh, I'm getting older, my body's deteriorating, and we just kind of accept the pain that we're living in on a daily basis. But there are some health epidemics that are occurring as a result of our environment that we're in and the food that we're being fed and the vaccinations that we're being forced to take. And so I would say 2/3 of Americans are carrying around a viral infection that's causing a slew of health issues, including chronic fatigue. And so understanding that can help you start to get a handle on it and start to get rid of it, start to treat yourself for it. So I always recommend boost the immune system, flush the liver, flush the filter organs as best you can, and boost the immune system as much as you can because your immune system is never fighting against you. When someone says that your immune system is attacking itself, that is nonsense. It is not attacking itself. Your immune system does not attack you. It's attacking something that doctors or Western medicine doesn't know how to see. It's attacking a viral infection that's been activated in the body that is going after one of your organs. So that's what the immune system is going after, and because it's not detectable with modern testing, they will tell you that your immune system is attacking itself, which is simply untrue.
Here's another question from the chat. This is from Dreamland. Thank you for joining us. Is Antarctic krill oil as good as they say it is? I don't know how to answer that question.
Not if you're a vegan.
Not if you're a vegan.
Well, because it's little tiny animals. That you're
krill. Okay.
I mean,
good
whales
point.
eat krill. It's like a little tiny, like a shrimp kind of creature thing.
It's the oil from the krill.
Yeah.
So you're not actually eating the krill, but you're ingesting the
Animal
oil.
product.
It's an animal product.
It's an animal product. I couldn't tell you. I don't know that much about that. I know that there's a huge fad right now with oils in the health community. And while I love the use of essential oils topically or to treat certain things, ingesting a lot of oils is really not that great for you. You need, especially for the 200 million Americans that are dealing with viral infections, because these viral infections set into your liver, and a fatty liver is also the cause of obesity. So if you wonder why some people get fat and some people don't, it's because some people are carrying a viral infection and some people aren't. So some people can eat as much as they like and nothing ever happens to them, and others are just packing on pounds by looking at food. And it has something to do with getting you get a fatty liver. So the more oil that you're throwing at that liver to process, the more you're getting those toxins in there, the more you're building up fat deposits in your body, which are really hard to get rid of and also contain a lot of those toxins. So you want to try. I'm not into all the heavy oils, people eating or drinking heavy oils. There are oils and fats that are good for you. You need avocado oil and coconut oil. Those are good for your brain, eating nuts. You need healthy fats for females, especially to keep your hormones in balance, but also for all of us here who are dealing with excesses of heavy metals. Brain health is highly connected to good fats. So you do need those good fats in your diet, but you don't need to be pouring on all these extra oils and drinking them because it's not good for your body.
People are drinking heavy oils?
Oh yeah, they're drinking them, putting them in their coffee, putting like these butter coffees or the MCT oil coffees, which I mean that is a really light oil, and it's good to use, but you don't want to go too crazy with it. So I think we're about to take a break.
Okay, folks, you're listening to Deep Disclosure, the Divine Miss M, Megan Martinez. Mr. M, Matthew Schluter, a.k.a. Matthewus Emotep. Our special guest, Susie Byler. And me, Reverend John Polk, will be back in 3 shakes of a lamb's tail, so don't go anywhere.
We are proud to offer our premium hemp extract. Magic Life CBD is organic, flavorless, and non-psychoactive. Magic Life CBD is used for pain support, stress relief, inflammation, sleep, and much more. Magic Life products strategic partnership with Deep Disclosure. Visit deepdisclosure.com and enter coupon code MAGICLIFE to receive a 20% discount.
Make your life magical.
Did you know you can accelerate your awakening and raise your consciousness? It is easier than you may imagine. The 7 Seal Activator tool quickens your path to enlightenment. This new technology is an ascension tool that is very powerful. Placing this symbol under your chair activates your kundalini. The energy wants to rise up to the top of your head, opening all of your energy centers as it goes. Simply holding it over your heart chakra opens that center. You feel lifted and shifted. Working with the 7th seal every day does indeed change your life. Get yours today at 7 Seal Codes. That's number 7 Seal Codes. That's number 7sealcodes.com.
Are you struggling to find your purpose? Are you looking for answers about where you came from and where you're going? Are you experiencing grief because you've lost a loved one? I'm here to help you with all of those things.
DivineMissM.com. That's DivineMSM.com. Supercharge your awakening with an activation. Mithras Imhotep and the Divine Miss M do specialized energy transmissions, clearings on each chakra, opening up, expanding and clearing, connecting the full body energy system with the 8th chakra, the soul star, along with the Melchizedek initiation, which activates all the meridians on your body.
During the clearing part of your session, we examine your energy field for any blockages from either past life or current life, emotional or physical trauma. We remove implants and entities from your field and your body. We cleanse the space around you and the people who share your home as well. We examine past life contracts and release you from anything that is no longer serving you. We do all of this with crystal healing bowls and toning and work in the astral plane. Give you your best foot forward.
Along with placing you inside of the 7th seal, supercharging your energy field to jumpstart your path to ascension. Get yours today at 7sealcodes.com. That's the number 7sealcodes.com. Accelerate your awakening with an activation. Check it out at divinemsm.com. And back into the show we go.
All systems are functional.
All right, this is Reverend John M. Polk. Welcome back to
Co-creator and
Disclosure.
co-host.
Once again, the Divine Miss M, Megan Martinez, Mr. M, Matthew Schluter, a.k.a. Mithras Imhotep, and our special guest, Susie Byler. Now, Megan, we were just discussing that you're going to be doing a presentation at the Sedona Community Center coming up this Friday, so please tell us all about it.
Yeah, this is the Sedona Close Encounters. It's been going on for about a year here. We did it a year ago, so this is our little anniversary spot. It's called Close Encounters, so it's talking about encounters with the other side. Matthew and I are both experiencers. So we're going to just give some brief updates about what we've been working on behind the scenes. And also, I'm going to be doing a live reading at this event. So if you're in the Sedona area and you would like to try and receive a message from the other side, we'll be present for that. It's this Friday, May 17th at 6:45 p.m. at the Sedona Community Center.
And it's interesting. Friday that just passed, I was working, I had multiple jobs that day, and then I was getting ready to go out on a UFO tour, and Megan was conducting a group reading with probably 15 or more people, and I was trying to be quiet, not to distract her, and I'm walking from my bedroom to the bathroom to brush my teeth, and right when I was as close as I was going to get to her on my way to the restroom, she said, "Did somebody break their arm?" And this guy speaks up and said, "Yeah, I did it skateboarding." And I told Megan after work today, I said, it's so ironic that I was, going to just brush my teeth and I'm walking right past you and you asked, did somebody break their arm? And this guy mentioned that he broke his arm skateboarding and I broke my arm skateboarding. Now that was divine. Free will does not, take place when things like that happen. 30 seconds earlier or 30 seconds later, I would have missed that comment. You know what I'm saying? And it would have, the reading may have come out differently. But the fact I was there at that exact time, in time, sometimes spirit will dictate your actions for you and you don't even realize it.
I think it was funny too, because so when I do this group setting situation, which this was the first time for me to do that many people at once, and I'm building up because we're going to do this big one at the Seven Seal Summit. So I'm kind of just working out the mechanics. How is this going to work? How they're going to do it with this many people? And so I kind of just get drawn to an area in the room where it feels like the information is coming from. And so with that one, I did get pulled to that side where you were walking. I was like, somebody, and I did think I was getting something off you. Can you tell me where your arm broke?
It was my left wrist.
Yeah. Okay.
I was on a half pipe and I basically fell.
Exactly.
My board, lost the board, so and I fell to brace my fall, and I just imagine you fall right on your wrist. That's exactly
what I felt. So I saw the hand hitting the ground, I felt it, and it just hurt from like my wrist up to like my middle of my forearm from the impact. So, and then that thing would not go away all night. That has to be like the most annoying part about doing this. It's like you think, okay, so most of the time when the message gets delivered, the physical stuff will start to go away and I won't feel it anymore. But sometimes it does linger. So I walk into a reading or a session or event and I feel great. And I'm walking out like a hunchback, like, because I've picked up like so many ailments from people. I'm like, I need you guys to work on this if I'm going to hang out with you.
Oh, right. Well, you got to let it go. When I first got into Reiki, I was absorbing people's pain, and it only took me a couple times to realize, all right, I can feel a tingling sensation, but I don't need to take ownership of their pain. Just release it off into. And
usually, as soon as I deliver the message, it will lift off. The pain will lift off because they're not needing to send it to me that way anymore. But I will tell you this, is that most of the time I'm just winging it at like everything in life. And so, including my psychic life, I jokingly call myself the accidental psychic because I wasn't really trained for this. I just started doing it. It's something it's more something that happened to me as opposed to something that I sought out or attempted to do. And so I'm lazy about maintenance. I'm lazy about cleaning, and sometimes you have to learn things the hard way, like how to release the energy so that you're not in pain.
Right. Hey, Susie, I failed to ask you about your email and how people can get in touch with you, how people can purchase the CDs that you offer.
Yeah.
So if you could do that for us again.
The CDs are on susiebyler.com/products. And I would invite you to join my email newsletter community because I have a really awesome 14-day prayer journey with the violet flame. So those of you who want to help to cleanse your aura, relieve stress, if you want to learn how to be a transmuter, you definitely want to join at susiebyler.com or creationtemple.com. You can join the 14-day prayer journey with the violet flame at either website.
Okay, outstanding. Our good friend Eric at Awakening Man has joined us in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. I guess
Hi, Eric.
we'll be seeing you here in a few days, and then my show, which cross-pollinates with Deep Disclosure, Quantum Hologram Matrix on the Fringe.fm, 5 to 7 Pacific. Eric will be co-hosting with me, and Mr. and Miss M, if you want to join in, anybody can join in. We're going to make it a call-in show and have no specific direction. We'll manifest as we go organically. So
Sounds fantastic.
It'll be fun, and plus I save myself 2 to 4 hours of show prep. So I don't have to study somebody. Like I studied Barbara Lamb for 4 hours prior to the show.
Interview, though.
Oh, wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, and that Anita Owens, man, she freaking blew my mind. I loved her, and I'm excited to talk about her too because she's going to be at the Seven Seal Summit.
She is. She was our first sponsor, in effect, and purchased a vendor table also. And you have the option. You can purchase one inside or you can purchase one outside. And we are actively collecting vendors. And if you want to, you need to act as soon as possible. We're going to run out of space for vendors. So
yeah, it's July, which means it's a little warm here, and we're verging on monsoon season. So
it's an epic time to come to Sedona. Yeah. If you've been thinking about coming to Sedona, come for the Seventh Seal Summit because monsoon season will just be starting, and it's monsoon season. If you haven't been here, is dramatic. It's epic. It's fun. Like Sedona puts on a show for you.
Oh, I love it. I love monsoon season. The clouds are beautiful. The energy is high. It's not dry, which is here kind of often. So there's like moisture in the air, and we have these amazing lightning and thunderstorms almost daily. And
rainbows.
Oh, I love it.
It's epic.
It's a really magical time of year. I know a lot of people might want to avoid the desert in the summer, but we're a desert oasis here. We're sitting high up in the high desert. We've got creeks running all through town. It's green. It's lush. It's one of the most magical places I've ever been to. I had the joy of traveling all over the United States as a dancer in my previous career. Before I was a hairdresser, I was a professional dancer or a competitive dancer, and I toured the United States. So I've been all over, and nowhere really grabbed me the way that this place did. I was very lucky to grow up in California, which is a very beautiful state, and there's a lot of beautiful areas, and especially living in the redwoods right on the coast. And the only places that really grabbed me on these tours going around everywhere was Hawaii, which has this beautiful, magical Lemurian energy, and Sedona. And this is, I just love it. It's so magic, and it never gets old.
We haven't really talked about how Sedona is. We live on quartz crystal, so everything that happens here is amplified. So when you come to a conference with your soul family, I mean, can you imagine what happens? You make these deep connections with people. You experience healing. You experience activation, awakening. It's epic. I mean, I know I keep using that word, but it truly is. It's a magical place to be. So come.
But you got to be careful too, because when you come, it's like I don't want to leave, and once you leave, you're like, when can I get back?
That's true. That happens. And you might be called here. You might be called to relocate. So
I was.
When you come here, stay open, because you never know. Sedona will pull you in. If you're meant to live here, she'll just grab you and suck you in.
Oh yeah, that happened to Matthew and I. We weren't meant to live here. Well, we were meant to live here, but we weren't planning on it at the time that we came in. And we happened to be just passing through. We were picking up an RV that the company we were working with at the time had purchased. And I loved it. I fell in love, and I knew I needed to be here. And I was like, I'm not leaving. This is our final destination. This is where we're staying. And that was almost 3 years ago now.
I was going to be here for 3 weeks. 5.5 years later, I'm still here.
You remember when I first moved here, my aunt was going through breast cancer, chemo and radiation treatments in Seattle, and my uncle was living with my mom in Florida, and their house was vacant for 8 months. And I got to live in a house for 8 months. And Eric, who's in the chat room right now, he hung out with me plenty during that time and had a bunch of parties. Met a lot of really cool people. I got very, very conveniently lucky and waltzed right into the UFO conference circuit because of Suzanne Ross. And that's an interesting story. She's in Crystal Magic, which is right down the road from where we're at right now. And she had a friend with her, and her friend was going to get a psychic reading, and Suzanne decided she was going to buy a book. So she goes to the back of the store where the book section is, and a book pops out by her foot. And she wasn't going to bend down and look, like 2 inches off the floor at the bottom rack of books. And my book, Yahweh, the Biblical God is an Alien, popped out by her book or by her foot. She picked it up and was like, oh my God, this fits right into J.J. Hurtak's Keys of Enoch research. And she had just done this extensive series of interviews with Anunnaki researchers, and I fit right in. And so when I first moved here, 4 days after I got here, I moved here August 17th, and then on August 21st of 2017 was a very rare eclipse, and she had an eclipse party at 9 in the morning. There was no booze, it was all organic food, and everybody there was either a psychic medium, spiritual healer, author researcher, UFO conference speaker organizer. Everybody. And I'm still friends with all of them to this day. So you talk about getting called somewhere, and what a blessing.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing about that story, though, is that store does not carry your book.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to even mention that. So I called the store from Florida when I'm still in Florida, and I'm like, so, hey, I'm Reverend John Polk. How'd you find out about me? And they're like, who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm the author of Yahweh, the Biblical God is an Alien, which, of course, you carry in your bookstore. I'm just flattered that you found my work and that you're selling in your bookstore. And the lady who picked up the phone is like, you are completely mistaken. I'm the one who deals with all of the books. I'm the one who catalogs all of the purchases and sales of books. That book was never sold from this store or purchased by me ever. So you're getting it mixed up. So I call Suzanne, and I'm like, Suzanne, I know you're not lying. I can't see any possible gain or benefit from lying about it. I said, what do you think happened? She said, I just think it magically manifested because we were meant to be friends and work together. And
exactly.
I had to completely agree.
Which is crazy because we met you at that eclipse party at Suzanne's house. And we met Suzanne a few years ago at the first Cosmic Awakening event that was here in Sedona. And immediately hit it off and became fast friends. And just there was just an instant kind of camaraderie and familiarity with her. And then, of course, this happens, and you get brought into it, and we meet you there. So, and here we are, a few years later, sitting here doing this show, and the weird thing that brought you back to us.
Yeah, so I had a girlfriend in California. I went back to Florida because my father was not doing well. He went through a series of operations, so I went through that with him, and the whole idea was to drive to California and be with the love of my life. And she ended up breaking up with me while I was in a hotel in Amarillo, Texas at 10 at night by texting me. And all I knew is that I was supposed to be in Sedona by March 19th so that I could MC the beginning of the conference March 20th because she was going to be doing the activation on the Red Rocks. And and then and I was completely crushed and devastated and crying, and Matthew and Megan kind of picked me up, and all my friends did, and they're like, hey, you're here. You might as well focus on being here now. And they had a room for rent, and, I wasn't meant to be with her.
Now you're with your soul family.
I was meant to be here. And then I get a job because of the Seventh Seal Activator doing UFO sighting tours. Are you kidding me?
The synchronicities just don't stop.
How cool is that?
I've been coming here for 20 plus years. When I first had a job down in Phoenix, doing the computer stuff that I was doing, I drove down from Minnesota and, heard about this place, checked it out. Again, I didn't want to go start my job. I was like, I'm not leaving. And I was, the only solace was, oh my God, I'm, only a few hours away. So I came here as often as I could, and I kept saying, I'm going to live here. I'm going to live here. Well, it only took 20 plus years, but here we are.
That's funny. Before we came out here, we were in Desert Hot Springs is where we had been on this journey for a couple of years where Spirit would tell us where to go. And we would just wake up in the morning and we'd load up and we would go. And so they had us in Desert Hot Springs for about 6 months, and which was one of the longest times that we got to stay anywhere, when they had us moving around to all these different places. And so we were there for about 6 months, and we knew it was time to move on, and we were headed back east to the Midwest, actually, to do a project out there. And they said, you will not... They said, it was when I was talking to Sai Baba. He was the one that came through. And he said, you're going to head east, but you're not going to make it past the Red Desert. And he showed me a pyramid rising up out of the red dirt, and an obelisk rising up out of the red dirt. And then he said to me, this is the new Mecca, and it's calling everybody home, and it's time for you to go home.
I get chills with that.
And then he said, his parting words to me, like, because I always ask, like, when is this going to be over? His parting words to me were, when you are one, then you are done. And so it was this kind of beautiful moment with Sai Baba and him leading us here to the Red Desert.
Wow. How prophetic. He nailed it.
Yeah.
Are we one yet?
We're getting there.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. We're getting there. It's a layered thing, right? Because it's like one in one, unity consciousness timeline, one in a unity consciousness on the planet, like one with everything in existence.
And if we can get even just 3% of the world, even 3% of the world crossing all cultures, all racial barriers, everything. If we can get 3% of the world to basically hold hands and do a joint prayer, meditation together, we can change the consciousness of the planet. The planet has consciousness too. Gaia is overly powerful. She affects us, and we affect her. And Gaia's in a little bit of a state of imbalance right now, or the Hopi call it Koyaanisqasi, where the sun daggers that come through on December 21st in the Hopi mesas and things like that, there's a mandala, and the sun dagger on the winter solstice is supposed to go right through the center of the mandala if the planet is in balance. And the sun dagger is going all the way around. It can still be fixed. It can still be remedied. And we're the only ones who can fix it.
Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to take all of us.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier with doing our inner work. We all have to do that for ourselves. Like, I can't do your inner work for you, John. That's something you have to do for you. It's something.
I thought you said you were going to help me.
It's something only I can do for me. But you know what I'm saying, though. Like,
completely.
That's the thing that a lot of people are missing. They're waiting for the event, or they're waiting for ascension to happen, or they're waiting instead of doing their work.
Yeah, we need to be proactive.
Yeah.
Proactive within the collective consciousness with the right intentions also, not just to feather our own nest. It's good to have abundance and prosperity, but also so that we can all flourish like a beautiful flower.
Yeah, we're all powerful beings, and we don't need to sideline ourselves. And also, I get this a lot too, and maybe I was guilty of this in the past in my life, where I was kind of like giving this laundry list of things that I needed from spirit before I would do my job. Like, well, I need you to give me a house, I need you to give me a car, I need you to give me this, I need you to make me happy, I need you to give me a partner, and then I'll go and live my purpose. Then I'll go and do what I'm supposed to do. And that's just not how it works. You have to create it yourself. You have to go out and do it yourself. And even the light workers that are here, you're here to shine a light on the path, not to carry anybody down it on your back. Or
yeah. And I will say, we can ask for some comforts too. Like when I was called to leave Pennsylvania, one of the things I said, I was like, okay, I'll go. I don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't know what's going to happen on this journey, but I'll go. And I really want to sleep in a bed at night wherever I end up. I want some comfort because I'm super sensitive. Like, life is super uncomfortable for me anyway. So I asked for that, and it happened.
Yeah, you will be provided with the things that you need on your journey.
Yeah.
And you can manifest those things. And I believe that abundance is the highest manifestation of, like, spiritual prowess or spiritual acumen, because, and a lot of people think that like lack is a spiritual place to be, but really it's not.
No.
It's
No.
when you break.
You can't help people if you're in lack.
Yeah, and when you transcend that and you create abundance, that's when you're really in the divine flow.
Yeah.
And so I encourage everybody to kind of take the leap, to go out there and do what they're afraid of, or try something. Don't be trapped into a life that you're not happy in because you're afraid to try something else. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy or that it's going to be successful in the first try, because it certainly wasn't for me. It was not easy or successful. I like face planted a few times before I really got the hang of it. But I feel more free now than I ever have. And I continue to strive for that ultimate freedom. And so sometimes it can be scary, but it's better than not doing anything at all. It reminds me of this book that I read when I was younger. I don't know if any of you read Ishmael. It's a book by a guy called Daniel Quinn, and it's told from the point of view of a telepathic gorilla who's a philosophy teacher. And he puts out an ad into the newspaper, and he gets a philosophy student to come in and be downloaded with all of his infinite wisdom. And it's a really great book. And there's a sequel to it too called My Ishmael. But there was a quote in there that really just stuck with me all these years, and that I would rather be struggling and free than captive and comfortable.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I was going to say I'd rather be scared than stagnant.
Yeah.
Because being stagnant sucks. So I'd rather be challenging myself.
Yeah.
And ever expanding. I'd rather be, putting myself on the line and seeing what can happen. How many limitations can I break through,
Yeah.
That's my path.
Yeah, a lot of times I learn from my failures what I really need to be happy. And usually the only thing I need to be happy is a choice.
Yeah.
Because it stops being about your circumstances and it starts being about being in the eternal now moment.
Yeah. For me, as long as I'm following my soul desire, that's true happiness. That's true joy. Even if the circumstance might suck while I'm following my soul desire, there's that underlying joy. Like, there's no greater fulfillment than this, because I'm doing what I came here to this planet to do. And I would really... I say that as a call to action to everyone that's with us right now. Are you doing what you came to this planet to do? If not, why not? What's holding you back? Why are you stopping yourself? Let's go. It's time. Step out. Figure out why you're here. Figure out what your soul wants you to do, and let's do it. We're here to do it together too. You're not alone. If you decide to take this path and to take this journey, you're not alone in it. You have your soul family. You have people that want to help you. So there's no reason not to do it.
Indeed. And we're here to help as much as possible and guide and share to encourage.
Amen.
Yeah. Even if it's just to commiserate on the pitfalls.
Cheer each other on. No commiserating.
Well,
cheer each other on.
On the hurdles.
As long as we're mentioning, the path, I started mine a long time ago when I had the guides talking to me, and I had some experiences, very profound experiences, and I began having things presented to me that were challenging because I had to work on my emotional body, but I had people teach me and help me move on through that. And so it's like knocking, the door shall be open. Seek and you shall find. The things keep getting provided. And so, we definitely encourage you to pick up the mantle, pick up the torch, and there's a lot of help and there's a lot of exciting things happening here. So hopefully we'll meet you, and we'll have great soul recognition and all carry this banner together.
And reach out for help if you need it. Like, don't be scared to ask for help. That's one of the biggest things I see with spiritual people. Like, oh, it's all within me. I don't need to look outside of myself. Just because you ask for help from somebody doesn't mean you're looking outside of yourself. Like, get vulnerable. Ask for help if you need it. It's here for you. But if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it.
That was one of the biggest lessons that I learned on this path. In fact, that was the lesson I learned really hard for a couple of years when I finally took the leap, is that I had learned from my life, from my childhood, and from that people would disappoint me. Mm-hmm. And that I shouldn't count on anybody because they wouldn't be there for me. And so I needed to be there for myself. And so over the years, I became more and more isolated, and I didn't count on anybody for anything. And then all of a sudden I was in a situation where I needed the generosity of strangers to survive. I had to be willing to accept help from people that didn't owe me anything or know me, and I had to be vulnerable. And I was blown away by their generosity and by the love that they showed me in my time of need. And it allowed me to not worry so much about looking like a failure or needing to count on somebody else for something, because we are all here for each other, and that's why we're here. And so it's important to get out there, just to reiterate, taking those leaps, to put yourself out there and to go into action, to living your purpose. And speaking of that, we have a couple of new guests joining us in the studio right now. And these two people are going to be featured this year at the 7 Seal Summit. And they're also the creators of an amazing product called Magic Life that I love and cannot live without anymore. And these two people, I really love them. They're dear friends of mine. What I love about them the most is their courage to try. They make their own path in life. They don't just accept what everybody else has set out for them. They decide what they're going to do and when they're going to do it, and they just go for it. And so that brought them here to Sedona. That brought them to the 7 Seal Summit. So welcome, Robbie Hernstead and Tina DeFalco.
Thank you so much, and thanks for inviting us on the show.
Thank you very much for having us. We feel honored.
Yes, and obviously being here today is a great opportunity for us to, talk about CBD, the newest trend. Our product we're pretty proud of. It's Magic Life CBD, Magic Life products. It's a very clean product, organic, non-GMO, and definitely can help with a lot of ailments.
Yes, it's great for anxiety, stress. You're having a bad day, or you wake up in the middle of the night, you need to get back to sleep, or you're getting a headache. I use it. I have it next to my bed every night. I don't want to go to sleep without it next to my bed in the nightstand.
So we do have a website, magiclifeproducts.com, where there's lots of information. And right now, through Deep Disclosure, you'll be able to actually purchase this product at a discount, which is really nice. It is available in stores across Arizona and California, and coming soon to Sedona, which we're pretty proud of.
Yeah, very exciting. All I want to tell about what I really like about this is that, like I said earlier, so a lot of us are dealing with, chronic inflammation and fatigue and all of these things as a result to underlying health issues that we're being made aware of and beginning to treat. And so I personally do not like the taste of oil, and I don't like drinking oil. It's like just kind of repulsive to me. But this product is so light and flavorless, so there's no taste, and it's a similar molecular weight to water. It feels like it doesn't feel like I'm ingesting an oil. And shortly after taking it, I remember what it feels like to not be in pain. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what your body feels like. Mm-hmm. This is what it actually feels like. All the pain that we just accept in our life doesn't have to be there. And so for any of the clients that I've worked with who have been recommended CBD oil, this is the one that I would recommend, is this particular brand, because not only is it amazing and effective, but it's being made with love by these two people that really care about improving the planet, improving the health of the people around them, and doing it in an integrous way with a clean product.
Yes, and I just wanted to add, our CBD is an MCT oil, which is a medium-chain triglyceride. And this is the good oils, if you ever heard of the good oils, the ones that break down your cholesterol and actually help with reducing different bad fats in your bloodstream. So it's, it has all the different acids in there, and it actually is used by athletes to to help them, to give them instant energy, and also, aid in these different things. So also we do third-party lab testing to, show that our product is free of contaminants, heavy metals, bacterias, and of course pesticides, the most important, So it is a very clean product, and that's about it.
Also, you were saying how other people that are selling it in stores, it costs a whole lot more than what you're charging. And then also, if how can they find it?
Right now, we are in the process of bringing out a new website with an online store, but at the moment, it is available on deepdisclosure.com. And of course in stores. We are getting to expanding pretty quickly. We're bringing out a pet products, creams in the future, all different, aids.
Yeah, if you go to deepdisclosure.com and under our products, you'll find Magic Life. And if you enter the coupon code Magic Life, you'll get a 20% discount on the product. So that's an exclusive offer just for listeners of Deep Disclosure. Yeah.
Yeah, well, great. Thank you for having us on the show, and more to come.
What, Tina?
Yes.
What got you into this kind of work? What brought you to wellness?
You know, it's been such a passion for both of us for so long. Robbie and I have both had our own experiences. My family, I've had family members go way too quickly and way too young because of chronic disease that they could have actually turned around. And, whole health is a passion for us. We were inspired with the CBD because we are completely against pharmaceuticals. We know Western medicine has a wonderful place for all of us, but at the same time, there's no reason to be taking these drugs when your body is so capable of healing and helping with these ailments. So the CBD is just quite a passion for us. We are completely into whole health and raising the vibration. What we'll be talking about at the summit will be about raising our vibration. Everybody wants to do that, I think, especially in this amazing community that we have. And this is one of those ways you can help raise your vibration by turning away from pharmaceuticals and looking towards the natural remedies that our infinite source creator has blessed us with.
Thank you for sharing that. I love
Pleasure.
it.
Pleasure. Yes, thank you.
And so before you guys walked in, we were talking a little bit about going after what you want in life and taking the leap and not being afraid to create the life that you want. So I know you've experienced this a lot, Tina, as well as Robbie. So if you want to just tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to take the leap or to leave. Because you were in the corporate world before, weren't you?
Oh, yes. I was deep in the corporate world. I sold real estate. I did mortgages, and all that good stuff. I even sold timeshare back in the day. And, I never, ever thought in a million years I'd be sitting here now, going out there and talking about this kind of stuff and raising our vibration and all that. But, it really takes when you take the fear out of the equation and live in the now, then it gives you the power to go forward. And, we all have this passion inside and we have things that move us. And what moves us is, quite honestly, Robbie and I both are completely into whole health and treating our bodies with love and care, treating the earth and the animals and the plants with love and appreciation. And, we just, living in California a couple of years ago, we never thought we'd be here in Sedona, but we came to visit a few months ago, not even 6 months ago, and boom, we're here now.
So yeah, we were telling about how this place just kind of calls you in. So some people are being called to do their pilgrimage here, just to do a trip here and then bring the energy home where they're located and helping the people around them. And then some people are actually called here to continue the work. So you're a world traveler, right, Robbie? You've been all over the place.
Yes, definitely. Traveled all parts of the globe.
Okay.
Experiencing, everything to do with everything and looking for the perfect place. And I really feel that the time is now right here in Sedona. There's definitely an unbelievable energy, and it's a convergence of people like-minded. And if you're here that you should be here and why you're here. I think that's something that I've picked up. And yes, there's lots of good stuff coming. I think the important thing is to really be headstrong, not have no fear and go forward towards your goal. If it's an independent goal financially, fair enough, then that's what you do. But really breaking free of the mainstream, as I would like to just sum it up as, is really important to be part of the shift.
That was beautifully said. I absolutely agree with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So we have just a little bit of time left in our show today, and maybe we should do some updates of the Deep Disclosure Persuasion.
Well, we are also going to open up the caller studio, but I'm still working out one technical bug there. So we'll do that next time, and that will enable us to do what we were chatting about earlier that we're going to do at the local event. We'll be able to have people call in and get like mini readings. You can ask your questions and get your answers and get a taste of what that's all about. And so a little bit about updates is a lot is going on for us with gold. We have many things opening, relationships that have been in place with our top partner for a long time that are being moved forward for us to be able to take control of a lot of gold that we're going to be putting behind our cryptocurrency. And we'll be coming out with the name of that this month, by the way. We will actually release what that's going to be a little more probably in our next episode or thereafter, because we do have the Silver Gate coming up. But so the gold is highlighted right now. It's very exciting. Another private bank is coming to the table, a very old one that we're going to be positioning with the system for being able to move money through it, as well as attaching to the cryptocurrency platform. We have more and more partners joining us that have systems in place, massive systems that have accounts all over the world that can handle exchanging cryptocurrency. So yes, we're very excited about the cryptocurrency right now, and many of you may know about it, and many maybe not. But you should take a look at what's happening with Bitcoin. And the Divine Miss M called it. She said there are going to be 3 coins that do extremely well this year. Obviously, one would have to be Bitcoin because it's the one that came out first and leading the way and is a market maker in many ways. And so let's see, what else might we add to what we're doing in terms of the financial stuff? You have anything to contribute?
Well,
what are the Galactics telling us?
Yeah, not necessarily on things that we're actively working on. However, there are some predictions that have come to fruition since the last time we spoke. So I'll break down some of those for you guys. Again, obviously, Matthew mentioned the Bitcoin thing, and we were told that it would be a very big thing this year, and it's certainly looking like that now. Into other more political stuff that they've made predictions around. Recently, we were doing a tune-in and asking for just them to give us some idea about when is this happening, when what will it look like, and they said to look for the fall of Maduro. That was a symbol of a win for the alliance. So it was a positive move for the alliance, and alluding to there being more going on in Venezuela with the government and with the deep state than maybe is being reported, and maybe they have some stake in Maduro's success, but it looks like Maduro will fall, and that the fall of Maduro is a marker for a victory for the alliance. Now, what's interesting about that is that the next morning after they told us this information, or maybe it was 2 days later, I can't be absolutely sure, at least track of time here, they said to us that, they didn't say to us, I saw on the news that Trump had met with Putin again. And I don't know if this was an in-person meeting, but this meeting was to discuss humanitarian aid to Venezuela. So they don't want to take a political stance or a military stance, but they do want to help the people of Venezuela. So that's something moving in that direction. But some other things came to light from this conversation. So I'll tell you again about a prediction that I was given maybe 6 months ago. I woke up in the middle of the night. I was shown an image of Putin. I was shown an image of nuclear cooling towers, and I was told about a deal that would be struck up between both the United States and Russia and another Asian country, and they showed me the flag of China. And so during this meeting with Putin and Trump, they discussed their agreement to reduce their nuclear arms in an effort to help stabilize the situation in North Korea. So this is moving, again, they've talked about a peace alliance between North Korea, the United States, China, and there have been a few other countries that I'm not going to name because I'm not sure if this is public yet, and I don't want to compromise those operations. But they said that these alliances would be really good for the world. And so one of the things is a peace, aside from the peace alliance that is stemming from this nuclear thing, they're also talking about a new world trade deal that would be very beneficial for the global economy. And so that's something that's been talked about in the news recently. So after that meeting, Russia, China, and the United States had made an agreement. Now China is kind of flip-flopping on that agreement, but we know that they like to negotiate and renegotiate based on our works with them. So I still believe that they're going to end up coming to the table. So that's what's going on with them. So through that one little meeting, we had 3 of these major things that Spirit had shared with us come to fruition. And so it's really interesting for me because when they say this stuff, I'm like, really? This is happening? Okay, well, really putting myself out on a limb here, guys. Like, I gotta say all this stuff, and this sounds pretty crazy, but it always ends up coming true. So those are just some that have come true. Are there any questions or comments over there? Or
so are we moving into an Asian economy?
Are we moving into an Asian economy? I would say no. I would say no to that. I mean, obviously, the Asian world is very, very much in our economy right now. We're in major debt to China, and the trade deals that we've had with them in the past have left us at a huge disadvantage. And the companies that have left the United States in order to manufacture over there under their loose environmental protection laws and their cheaper labor force are starting to return to the United States. So there's a huge they're already a huge part of our economy. And I don't see this as a bad thing. It's good for us to make money with our friends. It makes them like us. It makes them not want to bomb us. So it's good to have allies out there, including our allies in Russia, which have been allies of the United States for a very long time, which is now becoming more public. But it's good for us to get along with Russia. We don't want people to be killed. We don't want to fight with people. We want peace. We want progress. So Russian alliances and Russian peace are a very good thing for the United States.
Another comment was, and see if you can confirm this or not, did Trump recently impose a higher tariff on China for imports, exports?
He did. He increased the tariff. It went from, I think, 10% to 25% after this recent backslide in negotiations. And it has to do with the fact that China is currently holding out on signing this trade deal because they're hoping for a Democratic presidency that will allow them to continue to rip us off.
Here's a brilliant observation in the chat room. If we grow enough hemp this summer, this year, it will definitely help the United States. You know, we need to come off of this thing that it's this taboo, that it's evil. There's so much hemp. There's so many strains of hemp that you can't get high off of, like Robbie and Tina's CBD oil. You know, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be psychotropic.
It was America's #1 cash crop, as stated by the founding fathers. And once upon a time, Thomas Jefferson signed his name to a piece of marijuana. And that document's been a symbol of freedom for the world for a very long time. It's called the Declaration of Independence. So, you know, there's a lot to this. And you can see the economy in Colorado, who was the first to decriminalize, and they are just booming. They're thriving, and and this could be a godsend for the state of California that has somehow gone from the 4th biggest economy in the world to just really decimating their economy over the last few years with all these horrible policies. So this would be really great for my home state to get back on track. So very positive thing. And yeah, I could go on and on. I come from Northern California, right, which is home to the Emerald Triangle, and I happen to be part of a 3rd generation family of growers that have been in this industry for a long time. And so because of that, I learned a lot about the criminalization process and why it was the way that it was, and how it's affected people in such a negative way. So we really could do a lot for our country. We could definitely take a big dent in the prison for profit system if we would just decriminalize nationwide. So this could be something very beneficial for the United States as hemp continues to grow.
Yeah, and just to add to that, hemp has so many different products. One of the biggest products is actually paper and cardboard, which comes from trees. We all know how long it takes to grow these trees, where hemp can be turned around in 3 months. And huge costing benefits, and also obviously not killing these trees, cutting them down. So many products. I just wanted to also mention Arizona is pretty much part of that forefront. Colorado, Oregon, now Arizona is starting their hemp program coming up in the next couple of months. So that's a positive for the state, pretty progressive in the hemp industry.
Yeah.
Very pro. Yeah, we're extremely pro hemp. And so we're going to be definitely looking for some business plans being submitted for that. And we will rally behind it to take it to a next level.
Was there another question, John?
Oh, just a comment. It was maybe close to 100 or more years ago, the Rockefellers realized that if they illegalize hemp, then they can push the plastics industry.
Yeah.
And it absolutely worked. You can actually make hemp bottles for bottled water. Most bottled water is bad for you because it's BPH positive. And it leaches. The plastic leaches petroleum products into whatever it is, whether it's flash frozen vegetables, whether you get vegetables in a can or in a flash frozen plastic package, they're both equally bad for you. There's a big misnomer about plastic flash frozen vegetables in plastic being better for you than in aluminum cans, and it's equally as bad as petroleum products.
Yeah, it's time for us to stop digging up death to fuel our lives. There's no reason to do that. We should be living with living elements, the water that we drink and the stuff that we use. So there's definitely a conspiracy going on between pulp paper industries, chemical companies that don't want to see other solutions that are sustainable and people and planet friendly. And we will continue to embrace people and planet friendly products, and you'll see more of those coming out of Tina and Robbie here with Magic Life and some other product lines that we have planned for our future. So that's very exciting. And I like to always end the show with a message of hope, because I think we should end on a good note here.
Always.
And so I am very hopeful about our future. I'm very excited to be here right now. I'm excited about all the energy that's going on, and I'm excited about what we can create as individuals and as a collective. Anybody else want to chime in?
I sure do. I just want to remind everyone that you are a powerful creator. And so what are you focusing on? Choose your focus and create.
I also want to say yes. Now is the time. Release your fears, embrace your passion, and just go for it, because we're all going to end up just fine.
It's all going to be okay.
It's all okay. It's all Follow your heart sometimes, not your head.
Also, I think it's important to pray and meditate for yourself, pray and meditate for your family and friends, but it's equally important to pray and meditate for people that you don't know. There's so many disadvantaged people out there. If all the billionaires in this world would come off even 1% of their massive riches, they could feed the entire planet. Nobody would be homeless. There would be an even greater abundance of jobs and employment. And, that's not going to happen. So it's going to be up to us, the non-billionaires. They're going to have to make this happen. And, a lot of us in this collective consciousness industry don't always make a whole lot of money. But we do it anyway because it's important to us. We feel that it's a mission and an obligation that we signed up for with our soul contract before we were even born. So, I'm much happier now not making, a few $1,000s a week. I'm much happier now than I was when I was making ridiculous amounts of money in Florida.
Yeah, and we can have abundance on the spiritual path too. It's just about how you decide to design your trip, how you decide to make your path in life. And so,
well, that's for sure. And one thing I think it's also important to emphasize is we're looking for more people to interview. If you want to write us at disclosuredeep@gmail or any of the emails that you may have for us, you can reach out, and we'd love to hear about more products and services that are transformative, and we're going to be featuring those on our show. So that's an offer. Let's see who shows up to contribute.
And, of course, if you would like to schedule an appointment with me for a private session, you can visit divinemsm.com. That's divinemsm.com. And you can catch me live next Friday at Sedona Close Encounters at 6:45 p.m. at the Sedona Community Center. If you'd like to try and get a message from Spirit along with the rest of your community, we'd love to see you there. And, of course, you'll see me live at the Seventh Seal Summit this July 5th, 6th, and 7th. I'll be doing a live reading, and also I'll be conducting a sound journey with some of the talented people in this room. We'll be joining that sound journey.
And additionally, everybody in this room is going to be at the Seventh Seal Summit. Every one of us that you heard on this broadcast today will be doing a presentation and or MC at the conference. So I'm excited. And this panel of guests that we have today, at least most of us will be on my show this Tuesday, Quantum Hologram Matrix, 5 to 7 on the Fringe.fm call-in show as well, so please join us.
All right.
Carry these vibrations with you through the week, and we shall see you next time on Deep Disclosure.